you had a lot, didn't you? Every addiction. I understand you're bulimic as well.
I was indeed, yes.
Yes.
And
what kind of diet were you on?
oh, it was pretty gross, actually. I mean, I would stay up for like 2 or 3 days taking drugs, and then because I wouldn't be eating, and I'd be drinking scotch, and then I'd go to sleep for about 2 days, and then I'd get up and I'd be ravenously hungry, so I'd have, it was, you know, Sainsbury's cockles.
Sainsbury's cockles?
Yes. I like a nice cockle, Michael.
Just Sainsbury's cockles?
Yeah, jars of Sainsbury's cockles,
yes.
And then Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and then a bacon sandwich, and then I'd throw it up. They're horrible. It's the most horrible addiction. And, you know, the thing was, I would hurry because I didn't want to put on weight, and I already looked like, you know, Tessie O'Shea. and Widdicombe, yes, right. Yes.
Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, Marie Antoinette. Yeah.
But, I mean, you mentioned earlier, too, about the effect that drugs have on those surrounding you. It's not just you. There's a ripple effect, isn't there?
Yeah.
What was the worst aspect of that? I mean, your mum actually cleared off, did she?
My mum moved to Spain. Can't blame her. The worst thing about taking drugs and your friends is that your real friends, you isolate them and you hang around with people that aren't your real friends, and they're just sponging off you. Someone in my position who's quite wealthy, you know, would buy all the drugs or, you know, provide all the booze. And people, my dearest friends who still work for me, did tell me, but I wouldn't listen. And so I didn't want to hear their views anymore, so I kind of shut them out of my life and just listened to the sycophants that I was hanging around with. And I'm afraid that's what happens. You shut the real friends who will be honest with you and tell you what they think of you. For example, Mike Hewittson's a dear friend of mine. He works for me still. He wrote me a letter saying, for Christ's sake, stop putting that stuff up your nose. You know, and I wouldn't speak to him for a year. I was so enraged. But I knew he was right. But, you know, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear the truth.
So what brought you face to face with the truth? What was it?
One of my ex-partners in Atlanta went into a treatment center in America. And I was so angry about it. And I went to see him there. And I came back to England for 2 weeks, and I was so furious that he'd gone. And I just thought, oh, he's going to get well, and I'm still doing this stuff. And I was very angry, and eventually I found him, and I went to see him at a halfway house, which is where they put you after a treatment center sometimes. And I had a confrontation with him, and we were like close knee to knee, and a counsellor for him and a counsellor for me, and they just asked me questions. And he busted me completely. He thought I was going to hit him or walk out the room, which was probably my normal behaviour. But I actually just stood there and took it and decided from that moment on that he was right and this is what I should do.
Well, he told you what was wrong with you?
Yeah, he said you're a bulimic, you're a drug addict, you're an alcoholic, you're a liar. And he had to write a list of everything that was wrong with me, and it went on for ages. And then I had to write a list of what was wrong with him, and the only thing I could put was, does not put CDs back in the cover. And it was I needed to be told. I was ready for it, and I knew what was going to happen. I'm not stupid. I knew I was going there to be confronted about this, and basically he saved my life, and I decided that point in time that I would seek help, and it's been fantastic ever since.
Part of that therapy too, I read, which I thought was quite interesting, was that to begin, you had to actually write a letter to the drug. I
wrote to all the people that I thought I'd, you know, mistreated and apologised. You have to, and I've never written anything down in personal detail before. I had to write farewell letters. I had to write history of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and stuff like that. And then I wrote a farewell letter to cocaine off my own back, which I still have. And it was, you know, I was very proud of it, and it said everything that I wanted to say.
I mean, what did you say?
Well, I just said, you know, I put cocaine in the sense that he was my mistress, yes, and that I was in love with it, and I couldn't see her anymore, and that I'd travelled around the world, and brought her over by private jet. I had people bring her to me, and I couldn't afford to do it. And if I said, if I see you in another room, if I walk into a room again and I see that you're there, I'll walk out. And I just had to, you know, I wrote it as if I was talking to a person. Because that's how serious it was. And, you know, it's a hard thing to kick an you know, addiction is horrible, no matter what kind of addiction it is.